Hey, welcome to Coffee Connect, everyone. I'm Roddy. I'm the host here. I've got Jeff Delwish with me today, co-hosting and really adding the value because I don't know a whole lot about the topic that we brought in. This was really something that I thought about because I was like, man, I'm sure I have posted stuff in the past, right? That doesn't make sense, or posted something that maybe is not fully aligned with everything that I'm doing, or whatever, or maybe I've got too many things going on that I don't know what to post, right? And so if you enjoy today's conversation and the relationships you're building, right, please email me, ccinfo@addictedtoconnecting.com. I'm happy to add your email to the invite list so you know on a weekly basis what's coming up for the next week. In addition to that, guys, you can always go check out the website, www.addictedtoconnecting.com. That's addicted to the number two connecting.com, where you can not only check out the upcoming episode, right, and actually click to join the Zoom, but you can also file back to the YouTube channel on our website where you can check out some of the past episodes and review some of the conversations that have happened over the last couple of years, right? And so without any further ado, let's get into the conversation. Today's topic is really about correcting the course, right? How do we correct the course, right, on damaged social branding, right? On those bad posts, the bad content, the bad responses, the bad whatever it might have been, because I think so often we can do it. It's not as easy as just, hey, let me go in and delete the post, right? If it was that easy, it would be really great, but life is never easy, right? We have to do something to reconfigure that message of those that may have already read that or seen it or whatever else. And we might think it was only on there for 2 minutes, right? And Tony joined us today, man. I'm so glad because of what he does with LinkedIn and stuff, right? I think he'll be able to add a lot of value to the conversation as well. But whether it's 2 minutes or 20 minutes or 20 days, right? I guarantee you somebody's seen it, right? Somebody's seen it that probably it didn't resonate with them, it didn't come across right, or it's sticking with them for a long time and not in the best possible manner, guys. So why am I not able to? Oh, I know why. You guys aren't even saying nothing. You guys are like,
Yeah, you're sharing the presenter screen. There you go.
there we go. Perfect. I'm like, why is not everything not going? So really three things we want to do today, right? One is understanding bad content and branding, right? What and probably share some experiences that we've seen. We want to understand what those consequences are. Someone said one time to me when I got into business by myself, or that there's stick people and there's carrot people, right? And we got to understand what those consequences are because some of us don't like being beat by a stick all the time, right? And we love the reward at the end and stuff, but we've got to understand what those consequences are. And then last, and probably the most important, right, is what are the things to be conscious of when we're posting, right? And the strategies that we can help to improve our content management, right? And our engagement with those that are out there, right? And so, you know, I love, Jeff and I had a conversation last week, guys, and I recorded the conversation like I do many, right? And you guys may have seen the 3-minute excerpt of just Jeff's profile and kind of asking him some questions and stuff. But in that conversation, right, it came up that bad branding can be like wearing mismatched clothes to an important meeting. It distracts from your message and undermines everything that you stand for, right? And so how often have we put something out there, right? That maybe did not align with everything that we do, right? So we're jumping into a breakout room right away here, guys. We're going to share some examples of bad content or bad branding, right? That we may have seen online or maybe that we've done ourselves, right? And obviously discuss the consequences. The expectation is that when we get back, we want to share those conversations and see what we all come up with as a collaborative group to helping us understand what is bad content and what those consequences are. So I'm going to stop sharing. Feel free to screenshot that if you need to. I'll give you 3 seconds. 2, 1. Stop share. Let me go to breakout rooms. Let me recreate. I should have did these before I started the conversation, right? We've got a lot of new folks here too, so I'm going to shuffle these up. So hopefully we got some veterans in all of the groups. Fewer groups, fewer. There we go. Let's do that. Recreate. Open all the rooms. I will see you guys back here in about 10 minutes. Okay. Jeff, you should have the ability to choose a room. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? There they go. They're coming back in now. So can I have you finish that thought, Laura? With what you were talking about, right? We want to kind of share examples, and I think this was a great one, right?
Yeah, I was just saying like there've been some, it's a personal pet peeve of mine when a business owner, when their marketing always is talking about them and not the purpose or what they serve or what their mission is, but rather it's always just a picture of them. And then maybe they'll talk about what they do or who they serve, but it's just the picture is always them. And it's like, this isn't a vanity show here, right? Like that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. What else did you guys come up with as far as the faux pas that you've seen out there of content that continues to hit the social media pages that you're just like, oh, what's that?
Blasting, going for quantity over quality. Specifically on LinkedIn, I still get messages. There'll be users who create a post and then literally send it out en masse to all their connections, all their followers. If you really want to do it that way, make it very tailored and specific to the user. Hey, Rodney, I published this article on X, Y, and Z. I feel like it will bring value to you. Here's my message to you. Click that link, Rodney, not just let it roll to all my followers. That's ineffective and irresponsible and reckless. And it'll turn people off and I'll start to get blocked and unfollowed.
Yeah, yeah. I shared in the group. I said, there's a lot of stuff going on where people they post a bunch of facts, right? Especially now that we're in this political nature, right? And there's no emotional story or any emotional essence to what they're trying to talk about, right? They just, oh, let me just post a bunch of facts. And I don't know if that's good or bad or whatever, but it never does it turn me on to go, oh, I need to find more about these facts, right? Because there is no emotional response to it. What else you guys seen?
I'll just volunteer something. I used to teach email classes back in the 90s when it was first, like before the internet was big. And there was an example that that I would give at the end of class. I would say, watch your punctuation. And it was the exact same words. And depending on how it was punctuated, it was the difference between like the most amazing love note or a sexual harassment case waiting to happen. It was just a matter of how you punctuated it. If you put a period there or an exclamation point there, and it was the exact same words. And it's amazing to me how some things come through and I'm like, I think I know what they're trying to say, but they punctuated that totally wrong. And
yeah,
sometimes how you mean something isn't how they read it.
Michael Donovan, unmute and share what you told us in the room. You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, I used to ride the trolley in Boston to work, and every day I passed a aerobic studio called Your Somebody Aerobics, and they spelled Y-O-U-R, which is not technically wrong, but I'm sure they meant you're somebody like you are somebody, so it should have been Y-O-U''R-E. So I had a little a moment every time I passed it that I'd be like, so it's just grammar things. You want to make sure you have the correct grammar.
Right.
Maybe they did it on purpose for you.
And some of
Maybe.
Or an excellent opportunity for some graffiti.
Yeah.
I thought of it. I thought of it many times.
some of those
Adding an
things.
Cringeworthy
apostrophe and
moments.
an E.
Go ahead, Joe.
So I
Yeah.
said cringeworthy moments
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you see stuff like that.
So, I mean, I think we've all seen it, and we all know that it's detrimental, right? I mean, in a multitude of ways, from just your reputation side of the house, right, to the professionalism side of the house. And sometimes it just gets out, as Joe mentioned, right? It could be the sexual harassment side of it, right? Or it goes the far end of just offending people to that level. And I had this conversation, again, going back to Jeff and I's conversation. I said, I look at this whole thing like the market, right? Last Monday, we all took a hit on the market. It dropped down, right? It corrected itself, or whatever you want to call it, right? We had a dip, right? And I don't know what the overall loss was on Monday, but if you lose 25% in the market in a day, how much does it take to get it back to normal? It takes
33.
Twice as much.
It takes almost twice as much effort, right, to get it back to where it was before. And so I think bad content or bad posting or bad subject matter for you that doesn't align with you, your morals, your story, the things that you're trying to represent, right, can often lead to you having to do 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times as much work to get where you want to be. And so loss of credibility, it impacts opportunities for you in the future, right? Definitely you have that difficulty in regaining trust. And the efforts, like I said, in building that reputation back becomes unsurmountable sometimes, right? I think Budweiser, if you're not social branding so much, but Budweiser, right, is definitely finding that out. Anheuser-Busch finding that out right now, that you just can't go off the ledge with stuff and expect everybody to accept it. And so most bad content, when we start to analyze it, right, does a couple things. One, it lacks value. It brings no relevant value to the conversation, right? Sometimes it's missing, I said, the essence of a story or the emotion of a story, because how can I get involved with it, right? If it's just a bunch of list of facts or whatever else. Jeff, I think, mentioned, right, spamming it, right? Just bamming it out there. Let's throw it out there. Quantity versus quality, right? There's no defined community as to who you're going out, right? And then the low on the scale of professionalism, whether it be your or bad punctuation or whatever else. That's what we're talking about, right? I think we've hit upon all of them, guys. When we talk about value, creating content is like cooking a meal, right? If the ingredients don't provide flavor, no one's going to want to consume it, right? If the ingredients, what you're saying, doesn't provide flavor, the value, then nobody's going to want to read it, right? No one's going to want to sit there and engage in it or click on the links or follow up with it or anything else like that. Building that community, right, is like tending a garden. And this is straight from I should have put the quote down there as Jeff D, right? Because I think you were the one that made this quote when we were talking, right? It's much easier and better to stay engaged with those followers, right, or the plants that are strong and producing and stuff like that, than it is to constantly pay attention to the 1 or 2 plants that just didn't make it. A farmer plants 100 acres of corn. Does he worry about the 0.23 acres back in the corner that the deer are all eating? No, you can't, right? Because you can become so engaged and focused on trying to help the small amount that the people that are actually doing work for you, the things that are actually doing something of value for you, are not feeling worth what they need, right? And so we're going to go to a second breakout room, and then we're going to come back, and then our co-host is going to take over with the tips for the rest of the day, right? What can we do to help correct bad behavior or bad content, bad whatever it might be out there, right? So in your group, I would like to have you outline, 2 or 3 things that are of value, and then we'll come back again, share. Except we're going to go around each room and share this next time, so everyone's got a voice, and then we can collaborate. And then Jeff will come on and, like I said, wrap us up with the tips that we can do. Feel free to screenshot that. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to shuffle the breakout rooms. And if you don't like who's in your breakout room, come on back and I'll send you somewhere else. All right. Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you, man.
Awesome. So hope the breakout rooms were fun and insightful. Curious to know what everyone has to say, what the primary takeaways were. I'll share mine shortly. I was with Lamar and Tim, and whoop, my screen is getting a little crazy here. Lamar, Tim, and Joe, but why don't we kick it to volunteers real quick? Who would like to share a primary takeaway from this last round of breakout rooms? Got to be someone, anyone.
I'll share a little bit. Again,
Go
I'm
for it.
trying to be succinct. I think my big statement is, in order to repair, you have to be authentic and vulnerable.
Authenticity and vulnerability. Absolutely. A lot of people still struggle. Authenticity is hard. Vulnerability might even be harder because it means admitting you were wrong, admitting you're not great at something, admitting you don't get it right every single time. Still plenty of people in the world who don't even know how to spell vulnerable. So very well said, Rita. Tony, I believe your hand was up.
It's still, we just can't see it.
You guys were in the same room?
Hey, go ahead, Tony.
Mine was more about, as we were speaking to Rodney, it's making sure that you choose the right lane to be in, you choose the right platform for your message, where your audience is going to be. Rodney fell into the problem of, a lot of people do, blasting out across all different things all at once. They're all different platforms. LinkedIn isn't social media. You can't put out social media platforms on LinkedIn and expect you to be successful. So find where your lane is, where your audience is, and then adjust appropriately.
Absolutely. Meet them where they're at. Chuck, your hand is raised. Go for it.
Well, I just wanted to speak for our group because it was myself, Kathy, Marty, and Em, and we had just some thoughts that some of them are consistent, but one was ownership, taking accountability. Em brought that up from the standpoint of admitting that you're wrong, admitting that you're willing to course correct, and then doing so. And that goes back to that vulnerability. So that's probably going to be consistent across different groups. One ones we talked about was taking the time to think worst case scenario. Taking the time to say, okay, if we're going to take course A or course B, what could go wrong? How could someone take this and twist it or use it against it or make fun of it, or just, kind of thinking that through. Em had a great example of a company that was designing a pool float that, when it was completed, looked like a certain type of female menstrual product. And yes, it did not go over well. And that probably could have been solved if they had a more diverse group with diverse perspectives to kind of look at this and say, hey, that looks like X or looks like Y. That's a crazy example, but it's very consistent and true. Taking the time to build into the process of how could this go wrong to head off a lot of issues that way. And then the third one Kathy brought up is, and this was a more of a personal one, it was around appearance. And that was a personal one from the standpoint of a gentleman who came to a meeting. He was dressed in business casual, but he had on flip-flops. It just didn't match. So, around what kind of questions does that present in your mind, keeping your audience in mind and just trying to present what aura you're trying to have around your brand, thinking through that even at the personal level. So we had a good group.
Excellent. Very well said. Real quick from our group, we used a sandwich analogy. It's kind of like when you're given feedback. Here's what you're doing well. Here is what we need to work on, but keep up the good work all in all. It's kind of the same if you're doing damage control with maybe bad content that may have offended. Hey, here's what we were going for. so sorry, it backfired. And be real specific with the meat of it. It backfired because of X, Y, and Z. I'm meeting you where you're at, and I'm sorry I made you feel such and such. Here's what we were going for. Sorry it backfired. Please continue to follow, JJD content. You're a valued member of our community. Sandwich. And yes, I am hungry now.
So let me share, and we'll continue on with Jeff.
All right. So as far as course correction, um, for the record, bad content is inevitable. We're not going to get it right every single time, and everything we post obviously is not going to resonate with every single set of eyes, set of ears, and that's okay. That's inevitable. But the most effective content out there, content is all about storytelling. I once heard a very successful LinkedIn personality, I'll say, it's not about you should, it's about I did. And that sounds crazy. I personally struggle to talk about myself. I think a lot of people do, but instead of saying, Rita, you should do X, Y, and Z, it's Rita, I did X, Y, and Z. And I think as a result, maybe I've inspired you to do X, Y, and Z. Effective storytelling content is effective storytelling. Excellent quote up here. Storytelling in branding is like telling a captivating movie plot. People remember the story, not just the characters. That is spot on. And actually, show of hands for people who like courtroom dramas, whether it's TV shows, movies. I feel like at least once an episode, you hear behind the scenes they say, jury's like a good story. Whoever tells the best story wins. It's very true. It's crazy to think, the facts and the law, obviously they're kind of the essence of it, but at the end of the day, whoever tells the best story seems to have the upper hand. So it's all about storytelling. Again, less about you should, more about I did. Clarity and professionalism in all communications. This seems very much like a given, but it's not anymore. It's just not. Not in 2024 with a lot of people wanting to create and share content quickly. I'm still seeing too much quantity over quality. I still hear people talk about how you should post on LinkedIn 30 times a day. That is insane as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how you could post that much quality content a day. I don't even know how AI could do that as far as quality content. I'm a strong proponent of quality over quantity. Keep it professional. Keep it as concise as possible. Tim, go for it. What you got?
Well, I was curious, you're talking about quantity over quality on the different platforms, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. Don't they have algorithms that you have to hit a certain minimum before your content gets distributed or massively distributed?
Yes. However, those algorithms, are ever changing. So I would never recommend bending over backwards to master them, because by the time you have them mastered, they'll change again, it seems. I know with LinkedIn, you need to have at least 500 connections before LinkedIn really takes you seriously and starts prioritizing your content in feeds. The more followers you have on LinkedIn, the more likely LinkedIn is to reward you by prioritizing your content. So in that sense, it could be, that sounds like quantity over quality, but you still want, you'd rather have 500 loyal followers who really absorb your content as opposed to 5,000 followers who, with only a sliver of them really caring about your content. Tony, what you got?
Yeah, to answer what Tim said, yes, I understand the algorithm because I work with it all the time. And those posts, no, you shouldn't post within 18 hours of your last post, or they will affect the reach of your posts. So posting multiple times a day, you're killing your own reach. So don't do it. Followers actually, Jeffrey, I don't want to upset you, but they only see about 25% of what connections do, so they're not as important on LinkedIn. So actually that analogy is long since past, unfortunately. It's all about connections.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for clarifying. And again, it's all ever changing. So it's I just try to keep it consistent.
That's today's answer. It could change tomorrow.
Well, exactly, unfortunately. And then to wrap up this particular slide, building messages, or excuse me, personalizing messages to build connections. This kind of takes it back to a previous point. It's not about just creating a post and blasting it out to all your connections. If I have something that I feel Tim Green is going to resonate with him, I'm going to send it to him. I might even tag him in the post, but I'm not going to just blast it out to all my followers. That's just going to kill my credibility. They're going to see me as desperate, overly persistent, aggressive even, and I will start, not only will I lose credibility, I will lose followers. I will be blocked. I will be put in LinkedIn jail. Hasn't happened yet, but if I have bad habits, I will find myself there. As far as tips for consistent branding, you do want, obviously, you want your message to be clear. You want it to be consistent. It's not good enough to just once every few months put something out there and hope for the best. I see people do that when they post rarely. They try to go viral. They'll go through and they'll literally tag like 100 of their followers in the comment section. That is, yes, Tony's reaction says it best. LinkedIn will flag that as spam, rightly so. It's not about going all out once in a great while. It's about putting forth a solid effort consistently, once, twice a week. Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, there's a little analogy in the background that if you leave it more than 3 weeks, LinkedIn will reduce your reach. So consistency is absolutely vital.
Absolutely. I only post twice a week, but I'm relatively active with the comments. I comment on events. I'll be commenting on this one. That helps to grow the Coffee Connect community and other communities that have events regularly. So commenting.
You're doing exactly what I teach people, Jeffrey. You're doing it absolutely spot on.
Excellent. Yeah, no, comment on your own posts even to continue the reach. Thoughtful, quality comments. Once in a while, it'll be something simple like "good job" or "nice post." I try to do something a little more. I try to post like a paragraph per comment. Ideally, I want them to have to click ... more to expand it. If it's just a couple of words that they can see, doesn't have a lot of thought to it. Not a lot. It's not very compelling, not very engaging. Again, that's fine once in a while. Sometimes it's all you have time for. Sometimes it's all you have energy for. I try to keep my comments, a little fuller than that. So, again, consistent engagement with your audience. Was someone going to say something?
Yeah, Jeff, I've noticed something on LinkedIn. Sometimes people start posting a comment, and what winds up is some unimportant 2-line thing, and then it goes into 3 dots. And it doesn't appeal to me. I don't know how other people feel about that, but when you post, I think you've got to grab something with the first, before the 3 dots, or I think my opinion is you're going to fail.
Absolutely. You want the hook, the whole point of the hook, you want to get them to click ... more. Yeah, it's kind of much like with any sort of presentation, much like with any sort of interview. The first handful of seconds are key, just like in a LinkedIn comment or social media comment in general. The first handful of words, vital. Grab their attention, hook them in, get them to read on. Absolutely. Another powerful quote here: crafting a message is like sending an invitation to a party. If it feels generic, few will want to attend. Bringing it back to the whole, it's kind of like an email blast, a LinkedIn message blast. It's not about quantity over quality. A person viewing the message wants to feel like it was sent to them specifically. They don't want to feel like they're one of hundreds of recipients. And I know that can be easier said than done to tailor a message to everyone specifically. But it is very important to know your audience, know who you're sending it to. It's okay to maybe send it to 50 people at once, as long as you're confident the 50 people the message you're sending will resonate with each of them if it is tailored specifically to them. Does that make sense to everyone? We will go ahead and wrap it up. bad branding can have lasting effects. And to Randy's, or excuse me, I know your name's not Randy, to Rodney's point from earlier, you essentially have to double your work. You have to do twice as much quality content to account for the initial loss. So it is possible. Oh,
Go ahead.
all right, it is possible to course correct with intentional effort. You have to be intentional. You have to be consistent. And you really have to meet people where they are. You got to lose the generic nature of it, the quantity over quality. You really have to focus on who you're trying to right the ship for. And a meaningful and engaging presence on social media sounds like a given, but very much lacking with a lot of people these days, unfortunately. Keep it professional, try to keep it as positive as possible. Try not to just make it, a big vent session, a big poor me. You can tell your story without feeling sorry for yourself. Consistent, quality, professional, and go for it. Again, quality over quantity. So that is the best I can do in about an hour. My segment was technically about a half hour. There's so much I could talk about this for days. It's hard to cover all of it in just one Coffee Connect session, but I hope you've all found this valuable, insightful. I hope you're inspired, frankly, to continue, maybe even ramp up your content efforts. I hope I've given you a good baseline as far as what to do, what not to do, and how to continue to grow your content presence. Are there any questions as we wrap up?
Awesome.
Jeff,
Hey,
you
Good
do
stuff.
this
Thank you.
for, I'm sorry, do you do this for individuals, Jeff, or you do it for organizations?
As far as content creation?
As far as how you get paid?
How I get, about that, I am currently in transition. I had been freelancing, doing freelance content marketing. That no longer does it for me. I no longer get energy from it. I am looking to join a team, to be part of a team where I can create content for, for external clients, for a company itself, you name it. I'm looking for my next opportunity.
Awesome. Give it up for Jeff D, everyone. Great job today, brother. Appreciate you, man. And this has really been a lot of fun this last week, working on this with you and stuff. So guys, as we wrap up here, right, next week, we are going to have a conversation about habits a little bit, right? And we know habits don't form overnight, they form over time. And so I really want everyone that's going to be able to join us next week to start thinking about what is that one thing that you can do to make your 2025 10 times better than what you're doing today. And next week, we plan to institute a 30-day challenge where you're going to start putting that habit into place to help your personal growth. And we're going to set up some accountability pages on our Coffee Connect page on LinkedIn so we can all chime in on it. And I look forward to hearing everyone's success. After that, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And then the 3rd of September, as I mentioned, Marty Yang's going to come in and talk to us about elderly care and what we need to know. Guys, it has been a wonderful week. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic kickoff to your week here, second week in August, right? We're going to come across stuff that's bad, right? Try not to focus on the things that are bad, right? And instead, turn that around. Flip the script on whoever it is, right? And turn it into something's good. I know you have every ability and every piece inside of your body that can go out there and impact someone's life in a positive way. Go out there and do it. I love you guys. All right. Have a great week.
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rodney.
all you.
Have a great week,
Nice
everybody.